If you've ever watched paranormal ghost hunting shows like Ghost Adventures and thought to yourself, that Zach Baggins looks plenty scared, but I haven't seen him eat a single rat in order to sustain himself during this investigation, I think you might like Grave Encounters. Grave Encounters is a horror film for people who like watching those ghost hunting shows, but want the ghost hunters to be in a lot more danger. This is a found footage horror film in the same vein as Blair Witch Project, and like Blair Witch Project, it follows a group of people filming a documentary-style video project. In this case, it's for a TV show that they're pitching. The framing device is that the production company and studio that is supposedly buying these episodes for this supernatural paranormal investigation ghost hunting show received a bunch of raw footage for the last episode that was filmed where the people in it went missing, and they edited for time only this particular raw footage into the film we see. It's a simple enough, straightforward premise where the group of ghost hunters are agreeing to be locked in to a mental health facility that has long been out of service. And you've got the typical trappings of a haunting, right? The doors closing on their own, sounds coming from dark corners or other hallways in the facility. But there are some unique elements to this setup as well. In the typical fashion of these ghost hunting shows, they always talk about how ghosts can affect electronics, and usually that means hearing sounds on tape recorders that you can't hear with the naked human ear or whatever. But in this case, it actually means interrupting and interfering with communications and other electronics. Walkie-talkies don't seem to work, they don't seem to be able to connect, their cell phones can't connect, and at one point we even see the ghosts or whomever is behind the haunting breaking their lighting equipment to make it darker as well. Much of the movie is the core group of ghost hunters just trying to navigate through the winding dark halls and empty rooms of the asylum and finding that the layout kind of shifts around them. They'll go in one direction for seemingly hours and never seem to make any headway in getting anywhere. And as the hours tick on, it suddenly reaches morning, then afternoon, and it just seems to go on, and it never gets brighter outside. It always stays dark, and the person, the caretaker of the facility, is not there at the time he said he would to let them out in the morning. It becomes much more than a typical haunting, and more like they fell into some pocket dimension that is very self-aware, has malicious intent, wants to keep them in it, and likes to torture them. I think some of the apparitions that they encounter throughout the film can get on the cheesy side, but a lot of them work in their surrealness as well. And similar to Blair Witch, it also has the crew finding themselves lost and repeating where they've been, saying, I think we've been here before, or are we walking in circles, fighting amongst each other as to which way to go. There's something a little different in the eeriness in the way they get lost in Grave Encounters because it's inside, right? Blair Witch is outside in the wilderness, and it feels a lot more open, and there's also a terror there that's not present in Grave Encounters. But if I had to compare Grave Encounters, the asylum, to some other place in another fictional work, I would pick the house from House of Leaves. It's a space that should be finite, right? It should have a set amount of space that you can go to within its walls, and it should have a static layout. But unfortunately for the people who find themselves in it, it is a confusing, labyrinthian mess of contradictions in both physics and architecture. And I think that's honestly where the scares are most effective, at this kind of feeling of being stuck in a trap. Yeah, there are, definitely actual physical threats from these apparitions throughout the entire movie, but in some ways, though those, deaths are horrible for the people who endure them, they are also a release where other characters get trapped for much longer and are psychologically tortured for much longer as a result. Whatever plane of existence the Grave Encounters production crew found themselves when they were locked into this asylum, I don't want to stumble upon it myself. But I do want to know, when the caretaker did return in the morning at the specified time, what did he find? Was the, asylum open and empty, or were there any signs of the crew who got lost in perpetuity within it? I'm excited to see where the sequel takes the kind of mythos that's developing here. That's next on the list of 31 Days of Horror, the movie marathon I'm doing for the month of October. If you want to join, the list of films I'm watching is in my pinned videos. Until then, don't agree to be locked in anywhere, for really any reason, right? Supernatural forces aside, fire is a very real threat, and a locked building that's on fire is not a good place to be.